2025 regular business meeting. We met in executive session to deliberate with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions, and that was pursuant to ORS 192-662E, and also ORS 192-662I to review and evaluate the employment-related performance of the chief executive officer of any public body, a public officer, employee, or staff member who does not request an open hearing. We will not be taking any action in this open public meeting here. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gardner.
Here.
Commissioner Weiner.
Here.
Commissioner Bachmann.
Here.
Commissioner Adams.
Here.
Commissioner Lant.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. And I'm sorting these requests to speak while I'm getting the meeting going. Approval of minutes, number 3. I believe we do have changes to at least one set of minutes. I'm not sure what they are. Commissioner Lant.
I just move for approval of the study session minutes. And then we'll take up the other afterwards.
Okay. That would be the Park Commission study session, August 6, 2025 minutes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? No? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gardner.
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner.
Yes.
Commissioner Bachmann.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Lant.
Yes.
All yes, motion passes. Minutes approved.
Thank you. And on the Park Commission regular business meeting, August 13th, 2025 minutes. Commissioner Long.
Let's see. In the rates for the community center side room, there was, in the minutes, there was a unlabeled matrix, and I would like that changed to say rate structure number 2. And then rate structure number 1 is missing from the minutes, and I would like that added to the minutes. And with those changes, I would move for approval.
And do I hear a second on that one?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Gardner. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Weiner.
Yes.
Commissioner Bachmann.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Lant.
Yes.
Commissioner Gardner.
Yes.
All yes, minutes approved with corrections.
Thank you. That takes us to the 4th item on the agenda, additions or deletions to the agenda. I have none, and I don't believe anyone does, so we'll move along to public forum. I have 3 requests for public forum and 1 for the East Main Park item, which we'll take at the time we address that. So I'm going to call 3 people up, and most people know the drill now, but we line up over there by the speaker's lectern, and you'll hit 3 minutes each. And if you would identify yourself and where you live, that is just the city. We're not interested in any more information than that. When you come up, please. And I'm going to call the folks in this order. And if you would present in this order, that would be the preference. Jane Ferguson, Gail Patton, and Gary Achatel. I'll let you correct my pronunciation when you get up here.
Whoa. Hi, I'm Jane Ferguson, and last time I was here, I think it was April, and I introduced our new Hunter Park Tennis Association, and our group has over, close to 100 members now. We've united to support tennis players who play on a regular basis and rely on Hunter Park courts for their health and well-being. We want to stress the importance of Hunter Park courts to continue to be prioritized for tennis. I would like to reiterate the following once again for the record. While we support pickleball players' perceived need for more pickleball courts, we do not want to add more competition for use of Hunter Park courts. As stated in the Parks and Rec findings, before Lithia Park courts became pickleball-only courts, Commingling of the courts caused conflicts between the two groups. We have enough conflicts in the world and do not want to create more conflict. As you know, Lithia Park has 8 pickleball-only courts. Hunter Park has 7 tennis-only courts and 1 multi-purpose court. It seems almost equitable. However, tennis players also share Hunter Park tennis courts with high school tennis team, Parks and Rec Summer Kids Tennis Camp, Big Al's, and other youth tennis tournaments. As Dan Weiner stated in a past PNR session, carving up the Hunter Park courts with pickleball special events would definitely impact court availability for tennis players. I totally agree with Dan. Politics aside, tennis is a sport that I and my friends play at Hunter Park several times a week. It keeps us healthy, social, and brings nature and joy to our lives. We love watching the red-tailed hawk fly and perch on the tall Doug fir tree. I love to see my friends and get some exercise. I say, a set a day keeps the doctor away. Tennis is a game of love, and love is the best game in town. And before I close, I'd like to, I know we're going to have a big meeting about the refurbishing of the courts in September, but I would like to put a little plug in to see if they could do it in 2 stages so that some courts will still be available for play. And my other side note is that right now the trash cans are missing from Hunter Park. So I don't know if that's a purposeful thing or someone stole them, but I worry about people just throwing their trash everywhere. Anyway, please help us keep Hunter Park tennis courts for tennis only. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
I'm Gail Patton. I live in Ashland. I've been involved in tennis here for 40 years. You're going to hear from the tennis people today. And I've coached Park and Rec tennis. I coached the high school. I coached the college team. I'm a pro at the Ashland Tennis and Fitness Club. And just want to reiterate, right now we have 7.5, courts at Hunter Park. And the pickleball players have courts at Lithia Park. I brought at an earlier meeting, I think it was this year, an article from the Racket Sports Industry magazine from some of the racket sport professionals talking about why it's important that both racquetball and tennis have their own facilities. And we've, through the years and with Big Al's tournament, when I first got here in the 80s, there were 300 people at the tournament, but we had 14 courts on the SOU campus, and we also had 2 courts at Hellman School, and they keep dwindling, and we have less people coming to the tournament because we can't accommodate them. And if we keep losing courts or having to share, it dissuades people. I'm still a tournament player, and it's harder to play a tournament match when there are multi-lines on the court, even as well as they do it now. It does make a difference. And so I know there's been a little faction of people trying to pit the pickleball players against the tennis players. I have talked to pickleball players, and I said, we're on your side. If we will help you if you have a campaign to get more courts, but they need to be somewhere else than Hunter Park. And I just want to just, with all the energy I can give you to let you know how important it is to have a tennis only facility in Ashland. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Gary Ashetel, and I live here in Ashland. And I too support the concept of separate facilities. I play both. I love both sports. I participate in Big Al's for a number of years, including this year. And I've played pickleball in multi-states. I'm basically just a bum. So the importance of keeping these courts, I know you've heard numerous arguments on both sides. I'd like to bring forth two things that maybe you haven't heard. There's going to likely be more tennis players than we have today. And that's because we're experimenting with something that we haven't seen anywhere else in the country, and that's to keep players that get injured or get elderly on the courts for a longer period of time. It's likely also going to bring pickleball players back to tennis, because we're playing now, we're experimenting with 3-on-3 tennis, not just doubles. People are now, we had a player yesterday who's in his 90s, came back and played 3-on-3. It was the day before yesterday, excuse me. So that's one thing. Another thing that isn't considered is probably half of our community plays tennis at the club, at the tennis club. I played there many years. There's no guarantee that that club is going to maintain its current status. It was on the verge, as probably some of you know, of bankruptcy. And it was only saved by an angel. Who's to say that that facility will remain and there won't be much greater pressure for us to have these tennis courts? So anything we do in these days will impact the future. So we've had tennis, a great culture of tennis in this community for so long. We also are accommodating pickle. And by the way, there was a compromise. There was a compromise, and it said Lithia Park is for pickleball, and Hunter is for tennis. So I don't even understand why we are revisiting an agreement that was in place. It shouldn't be revisited. There was a harmonious agreement. And the idea of going back on that agreement is causing acrimony between the two communities. Like I say, I bridge the gap, and it's not pleasant to hear the scuttlebutt on both sides. So I urge the council to take a firm, positive step towards keeping the original compromise. It's working. Everybody has access to the courts. It's rare I ever on a pickleball court where I'm waiting more than 6-7 minutes to get back on. So I urge what I already said. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is number 6, consent agenda. We have nothing there this evening, and so it's time for our director's report.
Good, they changed over. Yay. For the record, Rocky Houston, Parks Director, Ashland, Parks and Recreation Department. Here we are on September 10th. Senior Services had a wonderful, it was only in the mid-90s, I think, so it was a pleasant little annual ice cream festival with the Ashland Brass, I believe, was playing there. Great turnout as usual. The Jackson County Health and Human Services, I believe is the acronym, had 2 different presentations last month, and there was a training on the RVTV travel. So continue to have a fine array of activities and things occurring at the Senior Center. Administration-wise, we held 2 public engagement meetings last month on East Main Street Community Park and the Windburn Way Safety project. We hired Cheryl Saram, if I can get the name right, and Rachel will make sure I do, as our new administrative assistant. So that was a new position that we got through this budget cycle. We had a more than a year-long temporary employee, and so Cheryl will be just started this week officially, but she's been working that other role in the past. So it's great to have her aboard in that capacity. We have, I believe, 2 now Park Tech offers and a background, I think we have a background check being run on one, and I think there's an offer held, and maybe it was accepted already, but it's in process for the second. One is for boulevards, and the other one is to replace the facilities position that we just went down on. So again, fingers crossed we'll have those two positions up and part of the team soon. We have these concerts in the park. Maybe you guys have been there. This is a typical picture. I think this is from the Folk Collective's concert. They continue to be a great success and a great partnership. And we have 2 more left coming up next Monday and the Monday after. So, and then be planning for the following season. So look forward to seeing.
I would just like to point out that some of those people aren't from Ashland. This helps, well, it helps our economy even if there weren't any visitors, but there's probably some visitors in there.
Yeah, and I think the first one I went to last year, I believe there was 2 food trucks, and I think there's 3 or 4, 5 that are there now. And I still am amazed at I can't remember which one actually has the bike valet. I think it's Epic Ashland's series, but there's not enough space, and so everyone's coming in all different ways to get there. So recreation programming, Daniel Meyer Pool, we had over 10,000 admissions this summer, so we had definitely an increase from the previous year where we're around 7,200, so that was a great improvement. It's a little bit shorter by a week or 2 as well, so again, that was great. We had to close it on the 25th because most of our seasonal help transitions back to the education system either as students or as teachers. And now it is in the process of transitioning to master swimmers. We did a walkthrough and have identified some preventive maintenance over the winter that we're hoping to get to make the experience better in our current facilities next year. Will the World website is a website where there are access for many different land managers for ADA activities and resources. And so Lithia Parks, David's Chair, and the Oak Hills Paragolfer are now listed on that website. So again, having it big. And we have seen more use recently with Lithia's Parks, the David's Chair. So it's been fun to kind of see that out in front of the office and going around. And the Fall Community Guide, Play Guide is out there, and it is open and ready for registration. So don't wait. The classes are filling up quickly. It's printed, it's out, and there's some new stuff that we haven't had there, especially on the environmental education side. So we're looking forward to see everyone having fun doing those things. Moving on to environmental education, we had, as we talked about before, we're working with having volunteers there to keep sort of the facility open, and they were there 2 days a week, and we had 68 visitors inside the facility on those 2 days a week that we have our 2 volunteers there. So it's great that we're continuing to figure out ways to maximize availability of our assets. The Bird Walk had 15 attendees on August 16th, and at the demonstration garden we had volunteers go to a permaculture practice at a local farm and came away with some great ideas. And if I recall what permaculture is, it's where you have ponding of water and kind of a hill that kind of percolates down through a process. And hopefully I've got that gist correct. So I know I've watched a couple cool videos on it.
That's part of it. It's much bigger, but we don't have time for that tonight.
Thank you for the save. Volunteers, fall cleanup is upon us. So this September is usually in October is when we start seeing those parties starting to kick out in our parks. And so Suleiman's been actively getting those set up and starting to work those. A lot of those are on Saturdays in the parks. And we had 60 hours of volunteerism in August there at the Nature Center Garden. And so continue to move forward in that. And of course, we had a ice cream social. Was that this month? Maybe just turned into September by a couple days, which it was warm, and they had ices there, so they went quick. Golf, continue to still see growth in regards to the number of rounds of golf and buckets of range balls. Rounds of golf was pretty equal with last year. However, we continue to see a good increase in revenue there. So whatever the team's doing is to continue to, even if we aren't seeing more rounds, we're seeing more revenue to help support that recreational activity. And we are about a week away. I think it's the 16th is when we're going to be closing the grass tee boxes to allow us to reseed and get another extra week or two to get those prepared, and they'll reopen in the spring. We'll be regrading the cart paths in the fall, again, to continue to try to make sure that those are less bumpy and better. And then there's some new targets being installed at the practice facility and to continue to improve the look, feel, and experience out there. Our East team, if you've been out at North Mountain, you'll see the dugouts are white. So when we were doing a lot of our painting, the dugouts and the batter's cage structure were a couple of those amenities that we weren't able to get to. So we have a volunteer that has primed them, and then we'll be having those painted. Well, we were going to say before the weather changed, but it came early this year. But again, we're trying to hit that. We had our playground inspections completed, so that's good to have that documentation, and found some small things for repairs, and are working on those. We pruned several trees. Here is some dead limbs that Pete, our arborist, was taking care of there at the senior center. Actually, the tree's inside the pool, but it's right there on that corner. And as anyone who's got a youngster in this town, fall soccer has started. Practices are out there, and it's going strong as well. Open Space and Trails team, they redecked some of the bridges and causeways at North Mountain and finished that work up. Delivered some chips for the Railroad Park Playground. There was a slide that's been defective, broken at the Briscoe neighborhood park for quite a while. We've paneled that off, and that won't no longer be an asset. We got a replacement part, but it was the wrong one. And so that process is we wanted to make sure that we weren't still having to track a nuisance and allow that asset to be better utilized. And we're continuing to do vegetation management, and we are planning on doing a climate resilient project with Public Works, partnering with them on a portion of the boulevards or the medians. And so that will be coming up, I think, in November. And as we get closer, we'll be talking about it. And it's a model for us as we look at other parts of our medians, again, to try to be consistent with fire resiliency, reducing some of our resource water, et cetera, as well, still making sure it's attractive and beautiful as you come into the town. Pros plan, we have a meeting scheduled next week at the Senior Center. That'll be at 5:30 p.m., which will be our second engagement. Will be an update and review of sort of the information we've gathered to date, as well as talk about some of our draft goals that we've identified so far, and get some input on that, and have an extensive Q&A session. With key tasks going is still working on our service level goals, which will then fold into our strategic goals, objectives, our capital facilities plan, identifying the repairs and replacements we need over the next 20 years at a very high level, and then the drafting of the plan so that we can get that out for review by you, and as well as for the community as well. Projects, East Main Park, we have 100% plans. We will be talking about that. We're kind of under review in regards to moving forward on that. We have a public presentation on September 24th planned for the Hunter Tennis Courts, where we'll be presenting the project, what we're planning on doing, our timeline, and allow for some question and answers on that. The Butler Perazzi Fountain, we have signed an agreement with the Parks Foundation. So now we are moving forward in that effort as well to continue to move that project and deliver it within the resources we have, or the foundation has. And the Lithia Park Master Plan projects, again, just to know that Japanese Garden ADA parking, again, is integrated into that broader Wimburn Way project, and the goal is to have that as a single project when we are ready to move forward on that. And we, the interpretive trail update is, so we have two things going there, is we have a couple storyboard maps out on our website for Lithia Park, as well as for Siskiyou Mountain, and I think there's one more that I think is at Lithia Park as well. That interface is fading away at the end of the year, so we're working with GIS to transition that to the new format, as well as Kirsten came and Rachel have been working on, and actually we're looking at a potential educational opportunity for a SLU student to assist in some of that design work and sort of effort in regards to rethinking what that botany trail looks like. The key things, of course, is to remove the numbers so that if something dies or moves, we don't have to renumber all the signs. But more importantly is making sure we have the right species. Do we have more than one trail, or is it as it is now? All those sort of elements that take time to figure out. But again, working on that. And as I indicated before, irrigation controllers are completed. And so we still have some irrigation areas that are manual, like right behind us here in the night lawn, that isn't on those Wi-Fi sort of 5G systems. So we have to manually do some of those. But again, most of our system allows us to remotely turn up, turn down, utilize the weather system to reduce. And we'll be reporting our savings in water gallons as well as financial in the next month or two with our quarterly reports. And with that,
Thank you. Anybody have questions or comments for the director? Commissioner Adams?
I just wanted to clarify one thing. So on Briscoe Park, you said there was a slide that was dangerous that was removed, and we blocked off the entrance to the slide. We ordered a replacement slide, but it was the wrong slide. Do we have a long-term intention to replace that with the correct slide, or is the block the new permanent feature?
great question. I don't have that answer yet. So my first question is can we return it? You know, is it in that window? We've had it for a little longer than I think we should, so that we're checking on that first and foremost. There was 2 slides there, so there is still a functional slide. So there is still that recreational amenity, and so that will be our next consideration, is making sure that if we do acquire it, that it is going in the right direction. It's a little thing.
Okay, thank you very much. We will move on to our one item of business under Roman numeral 8, and that's East Main Street Park. And before we start, I'm going to ask Gail Patton to come back up. She wants to speak to this item as well.
I was at the meeting at the senior center, and, you know, lots of different views about the entrance, and I just wanted to reiterate it again, and I think I'm in the minority, but if you're driving west on East Main, it's 45 miles per hour and until you get over the freeway overpass, and they're going 45 miles an hour, and then it goes to 40, and that's right about the spot that the entrance is going to be. And I just, you know, somebody said, well, there isn't much traffic on East Main, and I was like, how often do you drive it? I just worry, and I know I live right down by the dog park, and we had a big furor when you know, the dog park went in, and the roads there are narrow, and it all worked out. And I think the same thing would happen on Abbott, that things would work out and it's a lot safer. And then segue back to pickleball and tennis. I know there's supposed to be a sport court there, and I think it would be wonderful for the pickleball players if there was a pickleball court or 2, and then there would be some pickleball in the north side of town and pickleball on the south side of town. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Thanks.
Thank you. Director Houston, if you'd like to take us through this item?
Yeah, first I just wanted to, there was a question before in regards to the design of East Main and whether there was a deacceleration lane or center lane. And so I've reviewed the design and there isn't. There is no turning lane for a left turn or that. There is some widening and separation for the bike lane. So there is an addition of a bike lane. Then there's a sidewalk and street trees. And there's a little bit of a separation as you get down closer to Crocker as to help delineate bike lane and that traffic turning. So just to clarify that point. And my understanding is that is compliant with city road standards. And I
City-
do have a question before I start.
The improvements would be compliant with city.
Correct.
Right
That-
now,
that-
it's compliant with county.
Correct.
Thank you.
So just on that topic, so our requirement would be to improve the property in front of the existing properties, like all the way from Clay Street to Crocker?
Correct.
And the existing properties aren't required to participate in that?
That's a great question. My understanding is that when we submitted the land use application, we had agreed to complete those connections based off of, again, this is pre-Rocky, but my assumption is that's based off of when we're going through the pre-application process and that review process, that was a item brought forward to have a connected active transportation or bike lane and sidewalk system.
And we agreed to do that?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
All right, so in front of
Continue.
us here is item 6.1, East Main Street Park. The situation, as we've known and we've talked about over the last few months, is that the phase one cost estimate, engineering cost estimate, had risen to $3 million for construction. However, we only had a budget of $2.5 million. So staff reviewed 3 options through public feedback and review with Public Works and Community Development, and determined that community feedback in large part supported no change to phase 1 and keeping the access from East Main, which is with what's designed today and is what's in the master plan, that a revision or reduction of the project to try to reduce the project or expenditures can create an undue risk to the project. Primarily, there's a risk to grant funding. So with the reduction, there's potential reduction in funding for those things that are required in the grant application. In the revision, there's a high risk that there would be a challenge to LUBA, and the way it works is you'd have to pause. You couldn't do the work, and then that time frame to get that worked out would exceed what our time frame is for the grant. And so as such, staff's recommendation is to identify additional funds to increase the budget to allow us to have money to meet the existing engineering estimate and increase the contingency fund slightly just in case as the project gets larger to where we can continue to ensure we have a complete project. Breaking that down in regards to those options is currently we have $2.5 million budget for construction. We would look at reducing the pros plan budget that we have for capital by $75,000. We would reduce our land acquisition budget in our capital budget by $250,000. And we would cancel the irrigation controller project we had because we were able to get that accomplished in the previous biennium for $100,000, giving us $425,000 out of our existing budget. All 3 of those provide a low risk in regards to for safety or impacts for us doing the work that we need to do. In addition, the city manager has agreed to utilize $100,000 of the transient lodging tax that's already budgeted and already dedicated for capital improvements for tourism, which are park and pump track would be those amenities that would meet the goals and objectives for the south end of town, which is one of the council objectives, as well as I understand, which gives us just over $3 million for construction. Additionally, if needed, we have an existing $150,000 budget. We'd look to utilize our system development funds, which are dedicated only for adding new recreational amenities, such as East Main Park to the park system. They can't be used for maintenance or operations per state law, which would give us $350,000 for contingency funds. Now, potentially on that $200,000, that may be a limitation increase, which would be a supplemental budget increase if we needed that extra limitation. Otherwise, there may be no further action required through the finance. We'd work with finance to ensure we're compliant with our accounting rules. So again, the proposed motion from staff is to move to adopt a construction budget of $3.025 million and a contingency funding of $350,000.
Thank you. Before we get a motion and get into deliberation, any clarifying questions, Commissioner Lant?
If I have this right, the money is all available for everything that you listed, except for the $200,000 for the system development tax, which would require action by city council?
It may require actionable based off of our ending capital budget expenditures.
So just to clarify, if we needed to use it, then we would have to ask council for a budget, adjustment, right?
Maybe.
Maybe.
And the technicality is we have an approved limitation for our capital budget, and that plays into the factor in regards to whether or not, if we expend everything as planned and we needed that extra $200,000 of limitation, then yes, we would have to go to council.
And then, just to clarify again, the rest of the money, besides that $200,000, is all money that is within our budget currently, and we're just moving it from one place to another, and it doesn't require any action by anyone other than this body, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gardner?
So just back up to the SDCs. Do we carry a running balance in a SDC fund?
We currently do.
And is the 200,000, is that the total of our current balance?
Great question. Our estimate at the end of the biennium, based off our current planned expenditures, is $279,000. Now that's dependent upon how many building permits and those things go in, but that's our estimate now. And so the $200,000 is a conservative element of what we anticipate having as a ending balance at the end of the biennium.
And the SDC balance is a running balance, right?
Correct.
It carries over from year to year. Just because I'm curious, what's an example of where we've used SDC funds in the past?
So I'll make assumptions.
Yeah, okay.
Because I wasn't here
Yeah.
when we were expending those funds. So when we did the Garfield Park improvements, those improvements, additions to meet recreational demand, like the splash pad and the volleyball, those would have been eligible for those elements. When we constructed Ashland Creek Community Park, that development of adding a new recreational assets to the city, i.e. developing a new park, would have been eligible, and I assume that system development charges were used in addition to our capital project fund, which are food and beverage funds.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, the floor is open for a motion. Commissioner Adams?
I move to adopt a construction budget of $3.025 million and a contingency funding of $350,000 for the construction of East Main Park.
Thank you. Second? Commissioner Lant, thank you.
Second.
Would you like to speak to your motion? Commissioner Adams?
I shared some of this at our study session on this last week. I want to thank Director Houston. I want to thank City Manager Cotta for the work that they did together to find existing money to make this very important project happen. It's a good example of our Better Together motto, and I hope it is an example of things to come. And I couldn't be more thrilled to see us moving forward with East Main Park. I want to thank my fellow commissioners with a little more term than me for getting this thing started. We received a lot of public comment on this, and like my fellow commissioners, I read every single email that came in. I thought we received an especially nice letter from Randy Jones from Mahar Homes, who talked about East Main Park as a gem for future development in that neighborhood. You know, speaking of working together, our partners over on City Council have identified that area as a future area of development, opportunities for growth for new families and new residents in this town, and building that park and offering recreational opportunities for our future neighbors is part of what makes this town great. And I couldn't be more proud to be voting in favor of this park.
Thank you. Commissioner Long, would you like to speak to your second?
I would, thank you. We've come a long way from just the, we sold YMCA Park because it really it was problematic in ways I won't go into. But we did it with the idea that we were going to replace it because it's a high density area, and although the YMCA Park did not meet many of the community's needs, it just had a tiny little playground. It was a community park, and it's important that we replace it. So then with the grant and the limitation of funds, we're now building a park. We're just ready to approve the money to get started on the park, but we're missing something, and that is the key to a neighborhood park, which is a playground. So I want to challenge our staff to look at ways that we can come up with funding to include a playground in this first phase, and if not in this first phase, very shortly thereafter. I think it's going to be so exciting to have the park, but there's going to be this little sadness of not having the playground. And I'm hoping that other commissioners would agree with me that this is something that needs to be made a priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak to the motion?
Sure, I'll speak. Well, once again, I'll follow my two fellow commissioners in applauding us moving forward with this project. We've worked several years, gone through some different iterations. Unfortunate that we have to phase the park, but I think it's an important strategy to use the monies that we have available to us. And moving forward now is the appropriate thing to do. I would hope that as soon as we begin phase one, that we'll come up with a strategy for phase two, or phase 1.B, as Commissioner Lon has said before, where we can look at the most important parts of the park that we can't right now afford to build and build them as soon as possible. So I'm totally on board with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, and while I don't want to just reiterate what all my other commissioners have said, I don't think there's value there. I do agree with their statements. What I will say is that as a relatively new commissioner to this body and having not been part of the original deliberations, I spent a good deal of time reviewing every bit of information I could from the original discussion points. I was present at the last East Main Park meeting to discuss it and spoke directly with constituents there to hear what their concerns, hopes, fears were related to this. And I appreciate them sharing their concerns with us and trying to think about, if we were to move this project forward, is there a way to mitigate any of the concerns that they might have, and how could this really bring value to that neighborhood, to this town, develop future community members that might be attracted to that area to live here, economic improvement for this area, and quality of life in that area. So I think it really checks all the boxes. I think this is really, I understand fear when folks don't understand exactly what something will be, but I really do think this is going to be an incredible gem for that neighborhood, and I'm proud to be able to support it today.
Thank you. And I'm not going to, excuse me, add anything to that. I agree with everything that's been said, and I'm excited to be moving on with the project. I hope. We'll find out shortly. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Gardner,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner,
Yes.
Commissioner Bachmann,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Lund.
Yes.
All yes, motion passes.
Thank you. A few more items, and then we'll conclude the meeting. Do we have any liaison reports or anything else that commissioners would like to speak to at this point? All right. That brings us to upcoming meeting dates. There are several. Pros Plan Second Community Meeting, September 17th, Senior Center, 5:30. Hunter Park Tennis Court Rehabilitation, September 24th, Senior Center at 5:30. Park Commission Business Meeting, October 1st. Normally that would be a study session, just so everybody's aware of that. We're only having one meeting in October on the 1st, and that's our business meeting. And that'll be here at 6 p.m. Ashland Senior Advisory Committee, October 13th, Senior Center, 3:30 p.m. Recreation Division Advisory Committee, October 16th at the Grove, 4 p.m. And the joint meeting with City Council on October 21st, Council Chambers, 6 p.m. And that's the end of our business and the end of our, one more item here? Yes.
Because we're changing the business meeting to the study session, will we be televised, or is that an issue?
We need to be televised.
I have arranged with RVTV.
So it'll be
broadcast.
televised.
Yep.
And I was just wondering that critical public meeting law training, are we going to get that?
We are. When?
Well, we'll adjourn and then we'll do it.
Oh, you're going to do it here now? Okay, okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, in that case, we'll adjourn and be trained.
Thanks.